Hello and welcome to all our viewers in Nigeria and around the world to meet the news on Global Television, coming to you live from the nation's capital, Abuja. I am Annie T. Patrick. A quick reminder that Global Television is on DSTV channel 365 and Star Times channel 276. Now here's the news. A session of the Office of the Head of Civil Service of the Federation has been gutted by fire this morning. Although the cause of the fire could not be immediately ascertained, sources say it may not be unconnected with a power surge. Firefighters are currently at the scene battling to put out the fire. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu and First Lady Oluremi Tinubu have paid glory tribute to Nigerian women. They celebrated their resilience and contributions to national development as the country joined the global community to mark the 2026 International Women's Day. President Tinubu used the occasion to reaffirm the federal government's commitment to policies and initiatives aimed at expanding opportunities for women and girls, particularly in education, economic empowerment, and leadership. The federal government has said reliable population data is critical for effective national planning, fair distribution of resources, and the development of policies that address the real needs of Nigerians. The Minister of Budget and Economic Planning, Abubakar Bagudu, said this when he hosted the leadership of the National Population Commission at the weekend in Abuja. The MPC delegation led by its chairman, Aminu Yusuf, comprised federal commissioners and senior officials who were at the ministry to strengthen cooperation between both institutions. Troops fighting insurgency in the northeast have been urged to sustain pressure on terrorist groups as military operations continue in the region. This was contained in a press release shared on the official page of the Nigerian Army on March 8, 2026. According to the statement, the Army Chief gave the directive during an operational assessment visit to the headquarters Joint Task Force Northeast Operation Hadin K in Maiduguri, Borno State on March 7th. Meanwhile, the Police Service Commission has denied allegations that senior police officers paid 5 million naira each to secure promotion to the rank of Assistant Commissioner of Police. In a statement issued in Abuja by its head of protocol and public affairs, Torti Kalu, the commission described the claim as unfounded and a reckless attempt to tarnish the image of the commission and the Nigerian police force. The commission said the promotion of senior officers from Chief Superintendent of Police to the Assistant Commissioner of Police followed due process and established guidelines. All is set for the screening of Rivers State Governor Siminalayi Fubara's 9 commissioner nominees by the House of Assembly today. Speaker Martins Amawohele has asked them to appear before the Assembly. On March 3rd, the Assembly disclosed that it received a list of 9 nominees from the governor and invited the beneficiaries to send their credentials for screening. Governor Monday Okpebholo of Edo State has settled the medical bills of a pregnant woman and her husband who are currently receiving treatment for severe burns following a fire incident in Ekpoma. This was disclosed in a statement signed by the Chief Press Secretary to the Governor, Patrick Ebojele. It was stated that the governor made the intervention during a visit to the Irua Specialist Teaching Hospital, where he also paid the medical expenses of several other patients admitted in different wards of the hospital. Adamawa State Governor Ahmadu Fintiri has imposed a curfew on Lamurde local government area to curtail the deadly escalating communal crisis in the area. For the 4th time in less than 6 months, the governor is imposing a curfew due to the ongoing conflict between the Chobo and Bachama communities. In a press statement issued on Sunday night, the Chief Press Secretary said Adamawa State Governor Ahmadu Fintiri has imposed a 24-hour curfew on Lamurde local government area with immediate effect. The federal government says it is preparing plans to evacuate about 1,000 Nigerians from Iran as tensions escalate in the Middle East, following the widening regional conflict. Officials say the move is aimed at protecting citizens in the affected areas as security conditions remain uncertain and travel disruptions increase across the region. Authorities have also urged Nigerians in the Middle East to remain in close contact with Nigerian diplomatic missions while arrangements for possible evacuation continue. The Independent National Electoral Commission has rejected a move by factional caretaker committee of the Labour Party to dissolve the party's state leadership structures across the country. INEC said such a decision does not comply with the provisions of the Electoral Act and the Commission's guidelines regulating internal affairs of political parties. The development highlights the continuing leadership crisis within the Labour Party as rival groups battle for control of its national structure. The presidential candidate of the Labour Party in the 2023 election, Peter Obi, has emphasized the importance of the 2027 general elections, saying they will pit Nigerians against bad leadership. Obi made the remarks in Anambra State, where he officially registered as a member of the African Democratic Congress, ADC. The former governor of Anambra State, who has vowed to challenge President Bola Tinubu in the 2027 election, also called on Nigerians to participate in the ongoing online registration of the ADC. Kebbi State government has cautioned religious leaders in the state against delivering sermons capable of inciting the public against the administration of Governor Nasir Idris. The government said the present administration has made notable contributions to the development of Islam and religious institutions in the state. It stressed that claims suggesting otherwise were misleading and a deliberate attempt to distort facts and provoke public resentment. The Commissioner for Religious Affairs, Mohammed Aliu, issued the warning during a press briefing in Birin, Kebbi. As this year's Ramadan fast enters the final lap, Muslims have been advised to redouble efforts in prayers and other acts of worship. This is because of the belief that the last 10 days, if well observed, warrants freedom from hellfire. In this report, Global Television correspondent Shehu Saeed examines the significance of the last 10 days of Ramadan.
The last 10 days of Ramadan is considered the most rewarding in terms of acts of worship and charity. It is the period which attracts the Night of Majesty. What is the Night of Majesty? Imam of the National Mosque, Sheikh Muhammad Kabir, provides an answer.
Bismillah wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina Rasulillah. The Night of Majesty, the Quranic language call it Laylatul Qadr. That is the Night of Majesty. Night of Majesty is the night in which Allah in His infinite mercy revealed the Holy Quran from the Book of Destiny, that is Lahul Mahfuz, to a place in the space. We call it Baytul Izzah. In that Night of Majesty is very, very important to the life of Muslims, because whoever did any righteousness, be it prayer, supplication, or giving out something to help others, whatever kind of kindness, will be double like that of 1,000th month. One night is equivalent to 1,000 month. That's what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Holy Quran. He says, Laylatul Qadri khayrun min alfi shahr. The Night of Majesty is better than 1,000 months. Another verse of the Quran says, Fiha yufraqu kullu amrin hakim. In that Night of Majesty, Allah in His infinite mercy used to make budget or plan for the year that is ahead. That is from this Ramadan to the next one. So the budget or plan of the year will take place on that very night.
Which acts of worship are more encouraged from Muslims within this period?
This last 10 days is a night in which everybody is encouraged to raise up to wake up in the night, offer special prayers. We call it tahajjud. It is very, very encouraging.
As the Ramadan fast draws near to an end, Muslims should take advantage of this period to be closer to Allah in order to achieve good in this world and in the hereafter. Sheikh Said reporting for Global Television News.
You're watching the live broadcast of Meet the News. Meet the News continues after this weather forecast, plus business, foreign and sports stories on the other side of this break. Please stay with us.
Hello and welcome to your weather update. There is some welcome relief across much of the northern part of the country as the recent dust episodes begin to ease. The atmosphere is now much clearer and fresher, bringing improved visibility and better air quality across much of the region. However, while the sky remains largely sunny in the north, temperatures are gradually climbing, especially during the afternoon hours. So residents should still expect a fair amount of heat and thermal discomfort through the day. Moving towards the north-central part of the country, it will be largely sunny, although cloud development is gradually increasing, especially around Kogi, Kwara, and parts of Benue State. Meanwhile, parts of the inland cities of the south, including the stretch of the coastal belt, is experiencing isolated thunderstorms during the late afternoon and evening hours. States such as Osun, Ondo, some parts of Edo, Delta, Ogun, Cross River, Rivers, Akwa Ibom, and Bayelsa states. So while clearer air is returning to the northern region, keep an eye out for developing clouds and possible thunderstorms further south. And that's your weather update. Stay weather aware. Thank you for watching.
It's good to have you back on Meet the News. In business, African Development Bank Group has unveiled a continent-wide aviation financing platform aimed at unlocking large-scale investment in Africa's fast-growing air transport market and turning rising passenger demand into sustainable airline profits. The initiative, known as the Integrated Aviation Transformation Program, was presented at the Airlines Capital and Connectivity Forum held in Nairobi, Kenya, where regulators, airline executives, and investors examine how to mobilize long-term capital for the sector. Africa is expected to become the world's fastest-growing aviation market over the next 2 decades, driven by rapid urbanization, a rising middle class, and a youthful population. Industry forecasts indicate that 1 in 4 new global air travelers could originate from the continent within that period. Energy and economic experts have commended Dangote Petroleum Refinery and petrochemicals for cushioning Nigeria from the full force of the global oil shock triggered by escalating tensions in the Middle East. International developments highlights the scale of disruptions across global markets in the United Kingdom. The Mirror reported petrol prices climbing to €169.9 per litre, with long queues forming at filling stations amid fears of supply shortage linked to the crisis. Analysts argued that without the refinery's 650,000 barrels per day capacity, Nigeria would have faced acute product scarcity and significantly sharper increases in petrol prices as crude oil surged on the international market. Nigerian Ports Authority has celebrated the resilience, dedication, and invaluable contributions of women in the maritime sector, including firefighting, security, piloting, engineering, hydrography, administrative, and maritime support services, such as aids to navigation. These remarkable women are excelling even in roles that traditionally demand male kind of strength. Managing Director, Nigerian Port Authority, Dr. Abubakar Dantosho, noted that he deliberately prioritized gender equality in key appointments, starting with his aides and technical assistants. On the foreign scene, the head of the Catholic Church, Pope Leo XVI, has expressed deep concern over the escalating conflict involving Iran, warning that the violence could spread further across the Middle East and urging an immediate halt to hostilities. Speaking during the traditional Angelus prayer at St. Peter's Square, the pontiff said disturbing reports continue to emerge from Iran and the wider region as fighting entered its 9th day following the United States' Israeli assaults on Iranian targets. The Pope cautioned that the ongoing conflict was fueling fear and hatred and risks drawing in more countries, including Lebanon, which he said could once again face instability. U.S. President Donald Trump has blamed Iran for a deadly strike on a school in the southern Iranian town of Minab as tensions continue to rise amid the widening conflict in the Middle East. Speaking to reporters aboard Air Force One, Trump said early indications suggest the attack may have been carried out by Iranian forces themselves. Mutar Qasim tells us more. While we'll take that story in our subsequent bulletin, let's tell you that China said on Monday that Iran's decision to name Mojtaba Kenami as its new supreme leader following the killing of his father was a domestic matter, adding that it opposed any attempts to target him. Israel's military has threatened to target any successor to former Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei, who was killed over a week ago in the first wave of U.S. and Israeli strikes on Iran. China's foreign ministry spokesman told reporters on Monday that Iran's decision to appoint the younger Khamenei was based on its constitution. And in sports, Victor Osimhen has cemented his status as the dominant striker in Turkish football, drawing lavish praise from former Bekistan's director of football, Honda Ozen, who called him the best in the region following Galatasaray's 1-0 to Istanbul derby victory over their fierce rivals on Saturday. Osimhen was the difference maker, once again raising to head home the only goal just after the half-hour mark, a moment that encapsulated everything that makes him so difficult to contain. It was not just the finish that impressed throughout the match. He relentlessly pressed, disrupted Besiktas's build-up play and severed the defensive to midfield connections that the home side had carefully constructed. While Super Eagles players were in action across major European leagues yesterday, with several delivering notable performances for their clubs as the season approaches its decisive phase. Nigeria forward Akko Adams was among the goals as Sevilla FC settled for a 1-1 draw against Rayo Vallecano in La Liga. Adams opened the scoring in the 13th minute, finishing clinically to give the Andalusian side an early lead. The hosts, however, were pegged back in the 50th minute when Alfonso Espino restored parity for Rayo Vallecano. Well, let's tell you that former African and Nigerian champions Enyimba International Football Club has dropped into the dreaded relegation zone in the current Nigerian Premier Football League, NPFL, as they now occupy 17th position on the table. Enyimba was beaten 2-1 by Warri Wolves on Sunday during the week 29th of the ongoing campaign, leaving the Aba team with 33 points. After winning 8 matches, drawing 9 encounters and losing 12 games, the People's Elephant has undergone several reforms in its coaching crew. And that's it on Me The News. A quick reminder that Global TV is on DSTV, Channel 365 and StarTimes, Channel 276. Kindly follow us across all social media platforms now showing on your screen using at Global TV NG. I am Annie T. Patrick. Thank you for watching.